He was soft, beautiful, the kind of man people underestimated at first glance, but two powerful men were about to fight over him, and one of them was willing to destroy everything to keep him. The first-class cabin of the flight from Bangkok to Singapore glowed with quiet luxury, soft lights, leather seats, the faint scent of orchids floating through the air. Vier adjusted his uniform gently, smoothing it over his slim frame. He was striking, not in a loud way, but in the kind of way that made people look twice. Delicate features, smooth skin, soft lips that always looked slightly parted, long lashes that framed expressive eyes. He looked almost fragile, almost feminine. And people often made the mistake of thinking that meant he was weak. They were always wrong. Vier had learned early being underestimated was a kind of power. And tonight, that power was about to be tested. Final boarding call. Vier took his position. Smile ready, composed, professional. Then, Vier changed. Two men entered first. Large alert. Watching everything, security. And then he walked in. Kelvin. Everything about him demanded attention. Tall. Broad. Strong in a way that felt dangerous. His presence filled the cabin without effort. Sharp jaw. Dark eyes. Skin like warm gold under the cabin lights. He didn't look around like other passengers. He scanned, measured, controlled, until his eyes landed on Vier, and stopped, completely. Vier felt it instantly, like something had locked onto him. Kelvin's gaze moved slowly over him, taking in the softness, the beauty, the quiet confidence hidden beneath it. Something in his eyes shifted. Interest, possession, hunger. Vier forgot how to breathe. "Welcome aboard, sir," he said softly. Kelvin stepped closer, close enough to feel, close enough to overwhelm. "Beautiful," Kelvin murmured and walked past him. But the damage was done. The pull. Minutes later, Vier stood in the galley, trying to steady his hands, but his heart wouldn't listen. "Thinking about me." He turned. Kelvin stood there calm, confident, watching him like he already knew the answer. "You shouldn't be here," Vier said. "And yet," Kelvin replied quietly, stepping closer, "I am." There was something about the way he spoke, not arrogant, not playful. "Certain." A phone buzzed. Kelvin answered. His voice turned cold instantly. "Delay it. And if he touches anything again, I'll make sure he regrets breathing." Silence, danger filled the room. Then Kelvin looked back at Vier. Soft again, like nothing had happened. "You heard that," Kelvin said. "You didn't exactly hide it," Vier replied. Kelvin's lips curved slightly. "Good." He stepped closer. "Very close now. Because I want you to understand who I am before I ask you for something." Vier's heart raced. "What are you going to ask me?" Kelvin's gaze dropped briefly to his lips. Dinner, the invitation, later that night. The cabin was quiet, dim, almost intimate. Kelvin caught Vier's wrist gently. "Sit." Vier hesitated, then sat. Kelvin's thumb brushed slowly over his pulse, gentle, but deliberate. "I want one night," Kelvin said quietly. "No lies, no masks." Vier looked at him. "You don't even know me." Kelvin's expression softened. "I know that when I look at you, I feel something I haven't felt in years." A pause, then softer, "Peace." That word broke through Vier's defenses, and before he could stop himself, "Okay," he whispered. The shadow. But they weren't alone. Across the airport, across the city, someone else was watching. Adrian. He sat in a car, eyes fixed on his phone screen, the image of Kelvin and Vier captured by security. Adrian was handsome, sharp, elegant. Not as imposing as Kelvin, not as soft as Vier, but dangerously balanced between both. He had been at Kelvin's side for years. Trusted, loyal, and in his own way, attached. His fingers tightened slightly. "He's new," Adrian murmured. And his voice turned cold. "That means he's temporary." The dinner. The restaurant was breathtaking. Glass walls, city lights, candlelight dancing between them. But Kelvin barely noticed any of it, because Vier walked in. and everything else disappeared. Soft cream silk shirt, hair falling gently across his forehead. He looked unreal. Kelvin stepped forward slowly. "You came," Vier smiled. "I said I would." Dinner was quiet, intimate, real. Kelvin listened to everything. Not just hearing, listening. And slowly, the dangerous man disappeared, leaving just a man who wanted something real. "I didn't choose this life," Kelvin admitted. "Then leave it," Vier said softly. Kelvin looked at him. And for the first time, he considered it. "For you, I would." The interruption. The door opened suddenly. Adrian walked in. Calm, controlled, deadly. "Kelvin," he said smoothly. Then his eyes moved to Vier. Sharp, cold. "So this is him." Kelvin stood immediately, tension snapping into place. "Leave." Adrian ignored him, walking closer, studying Vier. "You don't belong in his world," Adrian said quietly. Vier held his gaze. "And you don't decide that?" That answer surprised him. Adrian smiled slightly. But there was no warmth in it. "We'll see." The threat, days later. Vier returned home and found Adrian waiting. "You're making a mistake," Adrian said calmly. "I care about him," Vier replied. Adrian stepped closer. "And I own the life he lives." Silence. "Then I won't let you destroy him." Vier's voice was soft but steady, and that was the first time Adrian looked at him like a real threat. The choice, Kelvin found out, and everything exploded. "You went near him." Kelvin's voice shook with anger. Adrian didn't flinch. "He's a weakness. He's my choice." That word changed everything. Adrian's expression cracked, just slightly. "And me?" he asked quietly. Kelvin didn't hesitate. "You are my pass." Silence, final. Cold. Adrian stepped back slowly. Then nodded. "Then you'll lose everything." Kelvin's answer came without hesitation. "Then I'll rebuild it." The fall and rise. Walking away wasn't easy. There were consequences. Fights. Blood. Betrayal. Adrian didn't make it easy. He pushed, tested, tried to break what Kelvin was building. But Kelvin didn't bend, because every time he looked at Vier, he remembered why he chose this. 2 years later. A quiet house by the sea. Soft wind. Gentle waves. Peace. Real peace. Vier sat on the porch, sunlight warming his skin. Kelvin walked toward him barefoot, relaxed, free. No guards, no shadows. Just him. "You're staring," Vier teased softly. Kelvin smiled. "I still can't believe you're real." He pulled Vier into his arms. Carefully. Like something precious. "I love you," Vier said. Kelvin closed his eyes briefly. "I chose right," he whispered. And far away, Adrian stood alone in a city that once belonged to them, watching the life he couldn't have. Some people are power, some people are danger, but once in a lifetime, you meet someone who feels like peace, and suddenly, nothing else matters.